Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Second City podcast with me, Callum Byrne.
And me, Daniel Sketchley.
We're back. We've had another little 2 or 3 week hiatus, but it's been a bit crazy couple of weeks. Dan, as the day of recording, it's 10 days till the big man arrives. Are you expecting to be on the good list this year, or are you going to be on the naughty list? Are you expecting good
Uh,
things?
yeah, I think I'll. Sorry, I got a cough. Yeah, I think I'll be on the good list this year as normal. Well, I don't see why not. How about you? I mean, there's things I could tell the big man that would put you on the naughty list for sure, but that have happened this year. But I think Kyogo might be on the naughty list based on what's been going on at St
Oh God,
Andrews
I'm sure
lately.
we'll
But
talk about his Miss St Mary's a little bit later on.
yeah,
No, I think I'll be
mm.
on the good list. I'm on the good list every year.
You know
Aston
what's
Villa, Unai Emery's definitely going to be on the good list. I mean, blimey, we've been flying of late.
you know
But
what's really like blew my mind. Not to go off topic straight away. I normally am really good with dates and remembering like anniversaries and stuff. I genuinely saw this today. Today's the 15th of December. I think Thursday is 10 years since Star Wars Episode 7 came out. 10 years. Do you remember that? That was
makes me
like
feel old.
crazy. 10 years. Do you remember how crazy that was 10 years ago? That's
Yeah.
insane. I can't believe that.
Oh, I remember doing the
I went to
first
the
day
midnight train.
release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went at midnight in Cheltenham. Yeah. And now Star Wars is in the mud. But anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway. And so is Blues' season at this point in time, but we'll get onto all that later, I suppose.
Yeah, because a lot's happened. I did my first away day in about 2.5 years, a week or two
Yeah,
ago. So we'll briefly touch on that because that was unbelievable and a couple of crazy home games. Villa have been on an amazing run of form in all competitions. Blues have been a bit up and down, which I think was the
yeah,
case when we last spoke um,
yeah.
a couple of weeks ago. So, I mean, where do you want to start, really, Dan?
It's a good question. I'll tell you what, where we will start if it's all right. We'll say a big thank you to everyone who checked out our last episode, which again, I know as Cal said, it's been a few weeks, but it's actually been one of our best performing episodes ever, which it's done over 2,000 views, which I know in the sea of YouTube is nothing, but
But for a
um,
small podcast like us, we love
for
it.
something
It's
we just
great.
like, we literally just do this for a bit of fun, honestly, like, when we can, and like. So no, it's actually really appreciated, and there's a lot of comments, a lot of them very fair comments as well. Some things were taken on board, and on my end anyway, I'll certainly take note of it. So no, thank you to everyone who checked it out. Yeah, so no, yeah, over 2.1 thousand views at the time of recording, so that's really nice. So thank you everyone. Obviously, we had a lot to cover in that episode with the new stadium and everything. Um, so yeah, let's try to keep it up and try and make that semi-regular, if not every week from now on.
Yeah, and also just because I've just looked at the stats for it today, but if we were in your Spotify Wrapped this year, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Maybe if I'll pay attention to it next year, maybe you'll get a video of me and Dan if we remember to
Oh
do
yeah.
it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Um,
That's the dream.
but
Yeah.
as that data showed me, we were our second highest country is Australia. So if you're listening or
Oh,
watching in
nice.
Australia, glad to have you on board. And
Oh yeah, lovely. Thank you. Thank you for listening down under. That's lovely. That's really nice. Tell you what, Cal, you're asking where to start. Shall we start with Villa? Obviously, the last episode
yeah.
was very Blues focused with the stadium and everything. But I do think you are kind of the main story at the minute. I mean, 9 wins in a row in all competitions. Is it eight, nine?
Nine wins in all
Uh,
competitions.
Another
Um,
massive win at the weekend against West Ham. Where do we? Let's just have a general catch up on the last few games at Villa. Well, I don't even know where you'd start really. Like,
I think I'll start with my away day in Brighton because that was pretty much the next game. I think that was roughly about to happen. I think it was the Wolves game, which we were rubbish, but we won. We'll probably touch on Wolves a bit later on, because they
yeah,
are doomed. Um, but yeah, I went to Brighton away, first away day in about 2.5 years. Um, And what an away day the last away day I'd done was Leicester away in 2023, where Bertrand Traore scored in like the 89th minute with like a wonder goal to win the game. Um, and we ended up going on to qualify for the Conference League at the end of the season. And what a way to come back. We were 2-0 down inside 20 minutes. Then Martinez got injured in the warm-up, and I was just stood there going, oh great. It's like 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. I was coming down with I think I've come down with COVID and the aftermath of all that. Um and it was like, oh, it's just gonna be one of those nights. Why didn't I stay at home? um and then the game turned on its head and we scored 4 goals and we won the game 4-3. It was unbelievable. Some great lives. Brighton away, and have you done Brighton away, Dan? Probably not.
No, we've barely. I can only think of playing there. Have they been relegated since they went up there? They've been
They
down, have
haven't come
they?
back down. No, no.
So I think we've only I think we might have only played there once, and I think we won. I think Chris Burke scored a worldie. So you're talking like 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah, I
So
was going
no,
to
I've
say
never been.
you'd have
No.
played them when the year that we were first back in the championship in 16-17.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
Um,
yeah. Oh no, we've probably played them a few times then.
yeah,
Regardless, I haven't been. No.
yeah, because I think they're going to move the away end because they hate how it's just in like the perfect place for the TV cameras, and when they lose the
Yeah.
it's just a stadium that's great limbs for away fans, and we certainly had that, the Watkins equaliser and the 3 goals that followed, and it was just a great night on the south coast. 7:30 kickoff for an away trip as well. The 7:30 kickoff was a godsend because you obviously got that 8:15 kickoff, which is horrible kickoff time
Oh,
midweek. It's horrible
we've
when you
got
watch it
that.
on the telly at 8:15, let alone when you're trekking up and down the
Oh,
country.
not to interrupt. On the we've got Southampton the very end of this month on the 29th, and I'm in work at 6 a.m. on the 30th, and we've got them as the 8:15 game. I'm like, why? Why? Like, why? Do it an hour earlier. Why does it have to be 8:15? It makes all the difference. Anyway, not to sound like an old man, but that's
No, I agree. I
my issue.
agree. It's also woke nonsense, isn't it? It's 8:15 kickoffs.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, we had a great trip down there. Brilliant. Then Arsenal on the Saturday, feeling really, really confident going into the game. But even still, you're going up against the league leaders. I mean, Arsenal have been flying this year. You know how good they are defensively, even with a couple of the centre backs out. And what a game. I don't know if you saw the game, Dan. It was just a great game in general. Two teams basically going right at each other. It was a tight game. Um, and probably some of the best limbs I've ever had at Villa Park. Easily in the top five. If the top, I have a really pretty solid top three, and it might possibly crack into that. But I don't know if the recency bias is a bit too strong with it. But are you about
That's
to
okay
ask what the
sometimes,
top?
though.
Are you about to ask what the top three or top five
Ooh,
were?
let me have a think of what they are. I'm gonna guess. Were they all at Villa Park?
Yeah, in terms of Villa Park limbs, yeah,
Ooh, tell you what, this could be a podcast on its own, to be fair, but I'll have a
yeah.
think. PSG, I know that was only last
PS,
year.
PSG definitely.
Um, Blackburn when you won the semi-final. When you did you win
No,
like 6-4?
yeah, that was a good night, but
Uh,
I was probably a bit young to really really
True. I'm trying to think of other ones. West Brom when you beat them 2-0 to stay up or 2-1. You played them
yeah,
twice in a week.
yeah. So I went to the league game of that, and that was very good. And that would probably be in the top five. That's one that me and Dad talked
Oh,
about. But
that's probably some obvious one. Bayern Munich.
Bayern Munich it would be in the top three,
Um,
yeah. And you've got the right
ooh.
team for the last one,
Okay, West Brom. West Brom.
yeah, in the playoff
Hmm.
semi-final
Oh,
at
of course.
home
Yeah. Oh,
when
of course.
Horahan. That's probably the best one when Horahan scored that absolute banger to make it
Yeah.
1-1. Um,
Bizarre story. I don't know if we ever said this on the pod because I went to the reverse game then. There was in the West Brom end for the reverse game up. One of my mates had James, who I don't know if he listens to this. He's a West Brom fan. He had a ticket in the baggies end and a spare going last minute, so I went to that game, and it was weird. In our group, we got quite a wide array of teams supported,
yeah,
but I'm the only Blues fan, and I was the only person that went to that game. There's Villa fans, there's Baggies fans, and I was the one person that went to that game, which was really weird.
yeah,
Great atmosphere that night, but yeah,
yeah.
fair enough. Top three.
So, but Emmy Buendia against Arsenal, definitely in the top five. It was chaos, absolute chaos when that went in. And I think it's because there was this mental goalmouth scramble before 97th minute. The ground was still full. I know that there was probably a few people that had already left, but normally when you get to that sort of time period, the stadium's half empty, isn't it? People trying to beat the traffic.
Yeah,
Stadium full, and the whole place just went crazy. Um, and yeah, and I guess we're in a title race. I know I've been jokingly saying it for like 4 weeks, but and it is too early in the season. We're not at the halfway mark yet, but And I did see a great tweet, which is like, oh, we're only 3 wins away from safety. So there's always that in the back of
Yeah,
your mind.
sure. Yeah, yeah, that is true. That's a glass half full approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
What
and
about
then
then? So you had that unbelievable win against Arsenal.
yeah, and then we backed that up with a win in Europe against Basel, and then we had West Ham at the weekend, and I was so confident going into Arsenal. I was so unconfident going into West Ham. And I think because of the Arsenal win as well, because we'd beaten the league leaders, and there was just a lot of talk in the media in the week going, oh, are Villa title contenders? Are they in the title race? And all of a sudden, we've kind of been really under the radar, just climbing up the table. And all of a sudden, we're really in the full focus of, oh, bloody hell, they're only 3 points behind Arsenal. And I was just expecting a real Aston Villa performance to rock up to a banana skin away day and lose 1-0. It just would have been it just would have been the thing that we would have done. And we did our very damn best to do that. Um, we threw the ball in the back of the net after 30 seconds. The second goal is probably even worse defensively. Conza had a bit of a shocker, really, which is a bit rare for him. He's been such a good player, such a great player for us. Going to go to the World Cup, might even start at the World Cup for England, but it was a real off day for him. And then some magic from Morgan Rogers in the second half, and we've just about stolen a win. We've scored, I think it's our 10th goal from outside the box this season. So I like XG as a stat, but obviously the expected points and the expected goals for this season have us basically in the relegation zone. And so um, it's that it can't go on like this. It can.
It can,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel like as long as the thing which alarms me is I just kind of feel like as long as Emery's there, I just don't see. You might like have a step back. Like last year, you finished fifth rather than fourth or whatever. I think, but as long Emery is an elite manager and he's proven that. And as obviously as someone who doesn't support Villa, that's the alarming thing. I think as long as he's there, I only see success really, and that is a painful thing to accept. The only thing I can hope is he gets poached by a top club, but I can only see a top European club coming in for him now, um,
And then
or an
there's always
international.
the
I don't know.
and there's always the question marks as well because he did Arsenal and he did PSG where basically at Villa Park he basically runs the place. He
Mm.
has anything he wants. The owners will basically give it to him if they can in terms of the structure, say on transfers, say on staff. Which a lot of the if he went others I know Xabi Alonso for example is under a lot of pressure at Real Madrid. If they were in for him, they're not going to give him that structure that he wants. For example, I mean they haven't given it to Xabi Alonso, and he was an invincible winner with Bayer Leverkusen, for example.
Yeah.
So there's always things like that. But yeah, that is the main worry. He's the most valuable asset at Villa Park. No, we've got some amazing players, but the manager is everything right now. And I think the only thing that he's got to tick off really is to get some silverware. Uh, I mean, that's the missing piece, really, isn't it? But I mean, we're on an incredible run of form. I don't. It'll probably end this weekend because we're playing Man United, and we'll talk about that a bit later on. But our record against
I don't know.
we
I don't
don't
know
beat.
about that.
I
Like,
think we've only beaten Man United about 3 or 4 times in the entirety of the Premier League era. Granted, it's at home and the home form's good. But we've only won away at Man United twice in the Premier League era, for example. So our record against them is as bad as it gets. Um, but maybe more, a tongue in cheek. Yeah, we're in the title race, and it's funny. Just before we went to Prague, me and Dad had a few beers in Ireland, and we both put a couple of quid on Villa to win the league because we were 300 to 1 at the time. And I
all
checked,
right.
I checked today, and we're now 33 to 1. I can cash out for like 10 quid
Ooh.
profit already.
Do
So,
it. Yeah. Blimey.
um,
Wow. And that's only like a month ago, or like
yeah,
6 weeks ago, maybe.
yeah,
Like,
it's nothing really.
blimey.
So how times you had better odds. Sunderland were smaller odds to win the league than us at that point. They were 200 to 1. We were 300 to 1.
Wow.
So crazy, really. But long may it continue. I mean, and I think I said this a couple of weeks ago as well, is that we haven't really hit our flying best like we were at the back end of last year. Um, we've conceded a lot of really poor goals on the road. We don't keep many clean sheets still. And we've got a few niggly injuries creeping in here and there. So Martinez has missed a couple of games in the last few weeks. I think and I'm pretty sure he's still managing that calf injury that he picked up earlier on in the year and why he missed the last international break. Pau Torres has got injured against Arsenal. He's missed the last couple of games as well. And he's so important to the way that we play out. And pretty much since this big run of form started when he came back into the team, basically. So he's a vital player for us. But then we've had players come back like Yuri Tielemans. It doesn't look like Evan Gesson's going to the Africa Cup of Nations, which we all
I
thought he
know
was
you're
going to
gutted
go to.
about
I am so
that.
gutted, Dan, because he's just,
Yeah,
yeah, no,
not your cup of tea.
no, not really. And it's a weird one because there's a lot of talk about Harvey Elliott, and he won't get a game because we don't want to pay the 35 million clause that will be activated if he plays 10 times. I think he's already played five. So he'll either just sit in the under 20, he'll just sit on the bench for the year, or he'll go back in January, which is probably really likely. But then you've got a player like Evan Gesson, who we did spend 30 million on, and doesn't get in the starting 11 because he's not good enough. And I think it's, it's one of those where I think if if the roles were reversed, you'd be seeing a lot of Harvey Elliott and nothing of Gesson. It's just one of those, really.
Yeah,
Um, he's the player that we've spent the money on, and if we've got a player that we don't want to buy, we're not going to play him, even if it means we've got to pay the wages or whatever. So, um, and the more you think about it as well, that release clause, or the not release clause, but that 10 games and you have to buy him. And there was rumours at the time that Emery wasn't keen on the player in the first place. If when you're under the spending restrictions in terms of we've got the money but you can't spend it, you're not going to go and spend 35 million pounds on a player that you don't want. So
yeah,
and
for sure.
but also 10 games is never going to be enough to get a read for whether you want to spend that or not. So it's one of
Yeah, sure.
those. And it's Harvey, it's just a victim of that, unfortunately. But anyway,
I
we're in a
did. I
good
was just going to say,
place.
what? Yeah, I was going to say though, that's actually the first time I've heard a Villa fan mention PSR in quite a while. I feel like when you were losing every week, I'm not scoring any goals. It was topic of conversation every single week, and now just because you won a few games, not a problem anymore, is it? I don't know what's happened there. Everyone seems
I
to
think
have
it's still.
forgotten about it.
I think it still comes up because I think if you look at the net spend since Emery came in, and while we have spent big money while he's been in charge, like we did sign Diaby for like 60 million, we have bought Anana for 50 million, because we've had quite a lot of big sales in that time as well, like Duran and Diaby as well. Um, the net spend is actually really low, and the core of the team is still Dean Smith's side, really. If you think of the strongest 11, Martinez signed by Dean Smith, Cash Konza was Dean Smith, Torres was an Emery
McGinn.
signing, Luca Dean was a Gerrard signing, Kamara was a Gerrard signing, Tielemans was Emery, Watkins, Buendia, McGinn. They're all players that predate Unai Emery. So it's there's only three or four players that he signed that actually play for us in the main starting 11. So um, but we're not the only club. I mean, Newcastle are struggling this year, and obviously the again the PSR things are coming up for them. Although they did spend an abhorrent amount. I know they had the ESAT money come in, but they spent a lot of money in the summer as well. So it sort of swings
True,
and roundabouts.
true,
I heard
true.
a few rumours actually. Speaking of PSR, and I don't know if you can confirm or deny, but I heard that you might be potentially having some PSR issues with EFL on the horizon, which wouldn't be a shock because you have spent a lot of money the last two windows.
Yeah, I mean, the only stuff I know is I know I don't really know anything about it, but like other than um, the general consensus seems to be that this idea that we're going to splash a load of brass in January is just not accurate at all because we can't really. We've spent And I don't know the figures, I don't know, but it seems to be maybe a few might have to go out to get people in.
Yeah. That's
Um,
normally how
and
January
it's
works anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think
For the
have we
most
said this
part.
before? Well, we must have said this before anyway. I think the January window should be like at most 2 weeks anyway. I think it's too bloated, and especially nowadays, nothing really happens. Not nothing happens, but a lot doesn't happen in January now. You used to get like Torres and Andy Carroll for
Mm.
millions and millions of pounds. That just doesn't happen anymore, I don't think.
I think I
Um,
think I think the only reason to not condense it would be is because to get a transfer through takes so long now. I don't know if it feels like it takes much longer to sign a player than it did. And maybe that's just because there's instant news all the time when you're getting the smallest crumb of an update every 5 minutes on social media. But I don't know. If it was 2 weeks, maybe it'd kick clubs into gear to be a bit more willing to bargain or not. But I don't know if it's actually viable in terms of some of these transfers. I mean, if you look at the Isak one in the summer, that dragged out for 2 months.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So the impression I get is it's similar to what you're saying with Villa. Is it? It's like they've got the money, but splashing it all right now probably doesn't make the most sense.
Yeah.
Or it'd be a huge
Because it's all to do
risk than
with
it might be in the
revenue
summer. Yeah,
streams.
exactly.
Villa, Newcastle, Blues in the Championship, they've got the money to spend, but if the revenue doesn't match what your outgoing is, that's the actual core of the problem as to why you can't
Yeah,
spend.
yeah, and it's because we spent a load in the summer. It's like on Football Manager, you're given a budget at the start. You can either try and save some for January, or you can just spend it all in the summer and try and and we basically did that, I think. Um, should we move on to Blues then? Should we have a bit of a chat about the last few weeks at Blues?
Yeah, I think so. Let's get into it. So I think the first game was going to be coming up when we last spoke was
West Brom.
West Brom. So it's an interesting one, West Brom, because obviously it's the biggest game of the season, really, for you. It's the main local derby. Although I feel like your ownership treats Wrexham as like the big game. So
Yeah,
well, it'll be interesting to see what they do for the reverse fixture actually, for and compare the two of them because you've had both of them as away games so far. But um,
yeah.
how was? Let's start there, Dan, because did you draw that night in the end?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, so we've had 5 games since we last did an episode. And that West Brom game feels like ages ago. It wasn't even 3 weeks ago. So the last game we would have covered, I think, was the Norwich home game, which was the 150th anniversary game, which we won 4-1, played really well. Th This 5 game stretch has not been great. We've only won one of them. But I kind of feel like we're still where we were then, if you know what I mean. I don't actually feel like we've actually, not, even though the results haven't been great and
You've
haven't been
not
as good.
lost ground, but you've not gained any ground either. You're kind of still middle of the pack, but not too far away from the
Yeah,
playoffs.
yeah, I feel like our sort of the strengths that we knew we had are still there, and then the glaring weaknesses are still there, and the things that we were hoping would click maybe haven't yet. So we haven't really kicked on. But yeah, the West Brom game, we'll have a brief word on that. Yeah, so we drew 1-1. A late-ish header, I think it was about 78th minute, so yeah, pretty late. Marvin Dutch with a nice glancing header from a pretty weak free kick from Tommy Doyle as well to rescue a point. Fairly deserved, I would say. A draw was pretty fair. Was not a great game. I thought BBC Sports' description of the match in their match report as pulsating was odd, and I was like, I don't know if I watched the same game. Um, did what we always do away from home though. Conceded a silly early goal. I know it took a big deflection off Phil Neumann, but give ourselves work to do straight away. So we were behind for most of the game. Um, Side note for the West Brom game though, that game should not be, especially when it is like our only real derby. I know Coventry is a derby, but the Baggies one to me is much bigger.
Yeah,
Um, it shouldn't be on a Wednesday night, in my
no,
opinion.
I agree.
I wasn't complaining when it was on a Wednesday. I think it was on a Wednesday night when we beat them 3-2, and Scott Hogan scored the hat trick about 3 years ago. That was amazing. But it just doesn't. You could tell, and people I've spoken to went said the exact same from both ends, both the Baggies end and the Blues end. It just didn't feel right, or there wasn't. It didn't feel like a derby.
You don't get the
Um,
quite the same atmosphere on a midweek under the lights.
no. No, unless it is like a Champions League game or like a major, a semi-final in the cup or something. Yeah, league games just don't pop in the same way, I don't think. Because the last 2 times we've played Baggies at home have been Friday night games, and they have been electric. The fact that we've won has helped, obviously, but they were two of the best games I've been to in the last probably this decade since like the turn of the decade. They were brilliant. The reverse game I know is an early kick-off on the Saturday, so that might help a bit. I don't know. It's better than a midweek game anyway. But anyway, rescued a point. Marvin Dukes was not great, but he popped up and did a job. So I'll take that. So we 1-1 in the end there. Then we played Watford at home on the Monday night, the following Monday night, and won 2-1. Played well as well. Watford also played well, and I think Watford were one of the better teams that we've actually seen at St Andrews, which surprised me a little bit. And then managed again now by, which I completely forgot, by do you remember Javi
Oh
Grazia, who
yeah,
was their
Javier
gaffer
Gracia
when
is the
they
manager again, isn't he? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and he was there when they got to the cup final, I think, in
Yeah.
2019. When
Being the
what
Watford
worst ever
manager
cup
is the
final ever.
best gig in football. It
It
is the
is, yeah. I
best
mean,
gig in football. You don't do
yeah,
more than a year's worth of work. You get
yeah, and
given a
you,
3-year contract, and you only do work a year at most,
yeah,
guaranteed.
absolutely. But he's got them well drilled. Actually, they played really well. We were 2-0 up at half time, two lovely goals. Demario Gray's in particular was absolutely delightful. Where he cut inside and with real power hit it on his right foot into the sort of the inside of the net of the side netting. Lovely goal. Got a little complacent. Watford pulled one back, but held out, and it was our fourth straight home win. And the fact that we had to hold out for that win showed a different side to us the three home games before that because we'd won so comfortably. We'd scored 4 goals in each of them, showing a bit of character. And it's really the first time we had to do it in a while. It was really satisfying actually. So even though it wasn't that comfortable, we beat a good team, and so I was pretty satisfied with that. Right before they scored, Marvin Dukes missed a sitter, should have scored it all day long. Obviously, then if that goes in, then it's 3-0. Then you never know from there. I wouldn't have been shocked if we'd got four again. But no, it was encouraging. So the fact that we've now gone on the 3 games since on a bit of a dry run again has been disappointing. So with Southampton away, lost 3-1.
Shall we talk about the miss of the season?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, go on then, let's get into it. So we lost 3-1. We were 2-0 down very early on. And again, the sort of conceding a sloppy early goal. I think it was Femi Azaz, is that his name? I can't remember his name.
Pinazaz,
Um,
former Aston Villa.
Finazaz, sorry, that's what I'm getting confused. Finazaz. Of course, former Aston Villa. Of course, he scored against us. He scored to make it 1-0, and then Adam Armstrong, who always scores against us, scored again. Clara kind of stood off him a bit, which was kind of weird. But we pulled one back again. Demarai Gray, who has been playing really well lately, contributed a lot of goals, a lot of assists. He's really, really upped his game in the last 6 weeks, I'd probably say. Um, just 2-1, and then Kyogo comes on, and like, I'm not saying anything that any Blues fan doesn't know here. We all know it's not quite worked out yet for Kyogo, to say the least. Clearly a quality player. Clearly has offside. Kyogo is an unbelievable player. He scored some unbelievable goals this year. Um, but yeah, then like, I can't remember who took the initial shot, but bounces back out to Kyogo. It's an open goal. He's like 6 yards out, and he just
Balloons it.
clips it over the bar, and it's you kind of can't make excuses for it. Like it's kind of the point where I think a lot of Blues fans, kind of myself included, kind of not turned on him because I haven't turned on him because he's our player and I still want it to really work out for him. And I still believe there's a quality player in there. He's dyed his hair blonde as well, so I was hoping that would do it. He's done what you've done, gone
Yeah.
like fully
Bleached.
um, bleached it. But part of me just thought like, oh, maybe this just isn't meant to be. Maybe this just isn't. Um, and then Adam Armstrong went up the other end and scored. And so, anyway, if we score, oh no, sorry, no, we were already 3-1 down. Sorry, my bad. When Armstrong scored and then Kyogo missed his chance, um, which was a shame because we still had like probably like 15, 20 minutes to go in the game, including stoppage time. So if Kyogo scores that, then you're right back in it. There's no shame in losing away at Southampton because even though they started the season abysmally, they
They've had a
will
really
be.
good resurgence under the new manager.
Yeah, and I know they lost to, was it Millwall they lost to the other week, I want to say. But they will be right up there this season. They really will be. They're a very good team. I feel like if you've got someone like Adam Armstrong in your team, you will always do well. Like he just scores, or you can only do so bad. Like he will just score goals. He's the kind of player. I think if the club really wanted to have made a statement in the summer, you go and nick one of your rivals' best players, But I appreciate that's highly unlikely.
Adam Armstrong is that type of player where he's a bit of an anomaly. In the Championship, he turns into Messi and Ronaldo. You put him in the Premier
Yeah,
League, and he looks so out of his depth. He just doesn't
yeah.
score in the Premier League, but he just bangs them in when he drops into the Championship again.
And that's okay. That's an all right
Yeah.
life to have, isn't it? Like being loved by, still playing in big stadiums, scoring a lot of goals every week. I had him on Football Manager with Blues about I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, and he's class. He's a brilliant player. Had him on loan from somewhere.
Blackburn?
Um, no, I think on that save, he'd gone to Newcastle. On that save, I'd gone a few years into the
Oh
future and
no,
I had
he
him on
used to play for
loan.
Newcastle, I think. So
Did
maybe
he?
he was
Yeah, did
already
he?
from there. Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm getting confused. Yeah. So no, that was frustrating, and it was another away game where we'd done what we'd done basically every away game: concede first. I think we conceded first, and this continues on to into the next game I'm going to talk about. We've conceded first in all bar one of our away games this season. Only kept one clean sheet. So we're just giving ourselves work to do. It just feels like the same story over and over and over again. And I'll probably talk about the away form in a sec because our next game was then QPR, which was last Tuesday. And I think against like West Brom, we showed some character to get a point. Weren't great, weren't convincing, but we did enough. And when Dutch scored, I was like, yes, that's good. We've rescued a point in the derby. That's good. Watford we played well. Southampton was not great, but we had chances, and on another day, you never know. And they are a good team. QPR was like really bad. It was really, really bad, in my opinion. I didn't see the Bristol City game, but a lot of people reference when we lost there in, I want to say October. A lot of people reference that as like the low, like one of the worst performances this season. And then I did go to Coventry away, even with the sending off. That was really bad. I think this was like on that level. Just showed nothing all game. And I know QPR were on a good run, and they are. I think they lost their, although to be fair, they lost to Middlesbrough the weekend. Um, so they
No
are a
shame
good
in that
team.
though.
No, no, true, true. They're playing very well at the minute, Borough. But did what we always do, conceded first. I mean, we at least lasted 40 minutes or so this time. But really sort of easy header, Phil Neumann getting out muscled, I thought, which I think for a 6 foot, whatever he is, 6'4", 6'3" centre back, I don't really think is good enough. Uh, and second half, we just couldn't get out of our own half in the second half. Somehow equalised in the 93rd minute. Nice move. Pex and Co finding Gray, get a nice ball across the box, and Patrick Roberts, who wasn't too involved in the game, showing what he could. We have got quality players. Is the thing they can play. These players can do it. We can. We really only made really one chance in the whole game, and we scored it. But it was really odd because it took me so by surprise because we showed so little in the whole game. It kind of just took me by surprise completely, and then So then I hadn't really processed us scoring, and then 4 minutes later, QPR went and scored an absolute rocket, which James Beadle should have saved, to be fair, to make it 2-1, and so Loftus-Road goes insane. But we could have no arguments. It was like the Southampton game. You can go, oh, if Kyogo scores there, and then this and so on. Um, but we could have no complaints against QPR. I think, like insipid is the word. We just had no. We were so flat, and it really summed up our away form this season. And we have become chronically reliant on our home form. The game was on Sky, and they showed the stats beforehand. And I think it's something like home form, we're like second in the league. Away form, we're like 21st or 22nd, which is crazy. Like we're playing the same teams. It's really baffling. We've only won two away games all season, which like the weird thing is, I think
This is
you
reminiscent of a
can.
couple of years ago, Dan, where you only won three away games all season.
That's exactly what I thought. Actually, we did only win three away games that season. Obviously, that season we didn't win many home games either. Was
No.
was the difference? But the thing is, the championship's weird because I think you can have, in a weird way, you can almost get away with it if your home
Yeah.
form is that good. If you're winning most of your home games, if you're winning three-quarters of your home games, you never know. It might be enough. So then to play Charlton at the weekend, who aren't very good, had lost 5 games in a row before the game to us, to draw them 1-1, 1-0 up at half time with Clara, and then to give it away, Tyrese Campbell scoring a goal, like I think it was right after he came off the bench as well. And I know he hasn't. I think it's his first goal this season. I think, but he's a good player to be fair, Tyrese Campbell. Uh, so yeah, like I think to then drop points at home, it very much felt like 2 points dropped, and mate, like we are so reliant on our home form, and that can't continue because then I think the pressure on the home form then is going to become immense. Um, so that's a concern. So we weren't. And you know what? The weird thing was on Saturday, I actually thought we'd nick it still. Like made some changes, and I was like, I can see us getting this. But I think we've done it a few times this year where we've got to a certain point and kind of stopped playing at home. And I follow, and if anyone doesn't follow him, I fully recommend his channel. Simon Brew, who does thoughts on the Blues on YouTube, he said this, and he was absolutely bang on. He said Charlton just wanted it more than us. And I just fully agree with him. Yeah, I thought, we're the better players, so we had more pressure at the end. And look, if anyone was going to score, it was going to be us.
And you were
But is
home.
Nathan Jones? Yeah, exactly. But it was Nathan Jones doing what Nathan Jones does. He came with, and I know you can call him this and that, and I agree with all of it.
He's a good
But
manager at this level.
he's a good man. He is, yeah, he is, and he worked. We've done it before. In the dark days and ground out results, and I don't blame him at all. They did a good job. So a bit
Nathan Jones is
disappointing.
sorry, this is a bit of a tangent. Nathan Jones is the sort of manager that I could just see in the dugout at St Andrews one day. He does scream
Yeah,
Birmingham
same.
City manager.
I kind of know what you mean. I feel like I should be offended, but I know what you mean at the same time. He's one of them people that I think a lot of people who aren't from the Midlands probably assume has managed us at some point,
Yeah, yeah,
like
definitely.
like Allardyce or Warnock or one of them. As you'd probably think he has been at Blues at some point. So no, it's been a bit of a step down. But my point earlier was about, I can't remember when I said it, but it was about how I feel like we're kind of still where we were when we did the last episode. Even though we dropped points against Charlton, the home form's really good. The away form's crap. Kyogo's not scoring. I wonder if we're just like a couple of pieces short of really, really being up there because I don't think we're far off. I really don't. I think we're a good team.
But we
And I
spoke about
think,
this at the start of the year, though. It was always going to be a big ask. No matter how much money you throw at it, it was always going to be a big ask to come out of League One and be right at the sharp end of the Championship, especially when you're fighting against teams like Southampton, Ipswich, who else came down? Leicester, who've got the parachute payments and they've had the Premier League money for at least a year, if not two of the last 3 years. Southampton and Leicester, were Premier League teams for like 10 years, with the big money coming in, and you've still got teams that are getting parachute payments. And the Championship, it is the toughest league in the country, if not in Europe. Really, it's insane. Anyone can beat anyone, and I know that's the same in most leagues, but um, the unpredictability of the Championship. People probably didn't have Borough right up there. Preston almost went down last year. They're third or something at the moment. They're flying. So
yeah,
it's always going to be a big ask. And I think come the end of the season, if you're in and around the playoffs, that's or if you're going into the last 3 or 4 games of the season and you're 6 points off the playoffs, I don't think that's probably where you would have expected really. If you'd really gone with your head over heart, it's probably where you would expect to be if you had a
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. And don't get me wrong, it might sound like I'm being really negative. I actually like we're only still only like excuse me, we're still only like 5 points off the playoffs, and I haven't got the table in front of me, but really anyone down to I think Derby are on about 20. Are they a couple of points behind us? And they're down in like 16th or 17th. Really, anyone from there up seriously could be looking at
Well, like
lower
Sheffield
mid-table.
United had that horror start. They can still make the playoffs easy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's about being not out of touch by February, and then if you can string a run together, you're in there. I think because it's so true. If like, and I feel like we still need to have that conversation about him. Like if Kyogo had scored 3 or 4 of the goals he absolutely should have scored, like we could be right up there. You know what I mean? Like seriously up there. And that's not putting it all on him. I think there's a few. I think at fullback we look really light now. Cochrane had to miss the QPR game, and credit where it's due, Jack Robinson played at left back in that game. The much maligned Jack Robinson actually played well. I thought. Thought he put his body on the line and played well in that game. Somewhat, redeemed himself. I think not fully, but he didn't do himself any harm in that game. But we're looking very light at fullback. Dutch is like a weird player. He can be absolutely fantastic, or he's either immense or completely anonymous. I think you can tell when he's sulking and when he's kind of not right. He's I don't know. He's a real odd one to work out.
Mm.
And it's just the away form. Like the thing is, you mentioned Sheffield United. We've got them away next. We've actually got really hard into the year. We've got them away next. We've got Derby on Boxing Day at home, and then Southampton at home again. Big games like, and our away form's so off at the minute that I wouldn't really fancy us to get a point almost anywhere at the minute or get a win at least. Um, so it's tough. I think my instinct would be, and I've seen a few people say this, despite as off it as Kyogo has been, I would just give him a run in the team. I feel like away from home, we've found a team that works at home despite the Charlton result, and that's the Dutch Stansfield partnership. Roberts is brilliant on one wing, Gray on the left, Peake and Tommy Doyle in the middle. Tommy Doyle is fantastic, by the way. He's an outstanding footballer, and I very much
I
hope
mean,
we can tie him
Wolves
down.
could seriously do with him right now. He could get
Absolutely.
recalled in January,
I'm
or
told.
is there no
I'm told
call,
he.
no
Yeah, I'm
clause?
told he can't. Thankfully, yeah, which is a relief. So we found a team that works at home. I feel like it's not working away. Still, let's just play Kyogo on Saturday. You know what I mean? It's not working as it is, so let's start him. This midway house thing of him coming on for 15 minutes at the end, it isn't working. I think he needs a full game
So some
and go from
players
there.
are great impact subs, and some players you've got to put them in from the start. It's like the old Watkins Duran. Watkins don't do it off the bench. You've got to play him from the start and probably give him 80 minutes. As whereas
Yeah,
someone like a Duran, you could bring off the bench with 10 to go and he'll just change the game.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, no, it's a tough one. But no, like chin up as well. You know, I remember after that Coventry game, there was a general feeling of like this isn't happening this year. And I still don't think people are like, I don't think there's a major expectation to go up this year. And there maybe is from Tom Wagner, but I don't know. We're not out of it. You know, we're not that far away. I think we need, as I say, I think we need some cover at fullback. Maybe another centre mid. Weirdly, because I think if we want to go to a three in the middle, because Watt has been so good at right back. If you want to play Mark Leonard as well, then we have no centre mids on the bench. I wouldn't
Mhm.
have loaned out Taylor Gardner-Hickman, honestly. I think he's a really versatile player. I would have kept him around, to be honest, which I think I said at the time. Obviously, Dykes is probably going to go in the summer in January, because obviously Scotland are going to the World Cup now, and he kind of wants to be playing ahead of that. The weird thing with that is, I actually think Dykes, even though he doesn't score a lot of goals, he's actually coming on ahead of Kyogo now, and he does give us something. He gives us that physicality, which Dutch doesn't give us. You'd think he would, but he doesn't. So then I think if Dykes goes, I actually weirdly think you maybe need someone in. Oh, I understand why they might want to let him go because he probably will want to go. But if he didn't, I'd keep him. So no, a few things to work out. My point as well on the fullbacks, going back to that, in the summer when I think real business will be done, I think we'll probably get stopgaps in until the summer in that department. Because if something happens to Iwata, Brightside Samuel's going to AFCON. Iwata is terrific. Samstead doesn't play. I actually quite like Samstead, but he doesn't play a lot. Cochrane had his first injury in a long time the other day, and so Robinson had to play there. So we're very light. Just a side note, I really like Ethan Laird and I really like Lee Buchanan as players. I really like Ethan Laird in particular is a terrific player. But they've both been at Blues for like 2.5 years now, and they've easily spent at least half their time at Blues out injured. We need to get some less injury prone fullbacks in. You know what I mean? Like Cochrane is a wizard. He's never injured. It's very rare. His first one in a while against QPR. But yeah, I don't know. I think it might be time to like if you can't build a team around someone that's just constantly injured. They reckon Laird won't be back till February in training, so it's like yeah, a little bit of TLC needed, but we're not 100 miles off.
Just on, obviously, you said that there's obviously, you think there's an expectation from Tom Wagner and the ownership to be at the sharp end and to try and go up this year. And I'm just there and I'm thinking, do you think part of that comes from, because the first year of this ownership group, they messed up and they messed up so badly you went down. And so you lost effectively 2 years of trying to get it up there, where the first year was always going to be just stay up. Then last year would have been kick on and maybe have basically the season you're having now, which is get up the league, see if you can sneak in the playoffs. And then the third year, which is the year that we're in now, is going to be if you're still in the division, we're going all for it. And it almost feels like because they messed up the first year, they didn't get the second year because you had to get out of League One, but they're still trying to keep it on the presumable initial 5 year plan.
Yeah, yeah,
I
possibly.
wonder if that's
Maybe
part of it.
trying to
Make
make
up
up
for
for
lost
lost
time.
time, sort of. Yeah,
Yeah.
potentially, but um, I think it's also they've just put a lot of money into it and a lot of wages, and it's that not to stereotype, but it's that American like go big or go home mentality. I think they just like that anyway. I think if we had stayed up last 2 seasons ago, I think last season probably wouldn't have been that much different. I think they would have put a lot of money in and would have been bigging it up still. Uh, so yes and no, I think. But I feel like I've been quite negative. But that's maybe not a fully fair reflection. I think it's been a bit concerning, but as I say, we're kind of where we were, whereas we were on the last episode. Um, it's
And
just that way form we need to
we're
work
the
on.
best proof of you've just got to be relatively in touch by the time the run-in comes around. And
Yeah,
I mean, and we're not the only team to have done it, but if you put a run together at the end of the year, you'll end up in the playoffs probably.
absolutely. And I think it's I don't know if you know of a YouTuber called Callum Fowler. He does a lot of EFL stuff, and he says like every week, and I think this is probably mainly because of the home form, to be fair. But he's saying if you look at like all the underlying stats, like again, whichever you are into all this stuff, like XG and possession and all that stuff, the top few teams are Blues, Coventry, Southampton, Ipswich. On like most metrics are the standout teams, and eventually it should click into gear for those teams completely. And obviously it has for Coventry all along. And like you were saying earlier, like you've kind of got not so much Leicester, but like Ipswich and Southampton to contend with, and then Cov and Middlesbrough now. I think like you have to take them very seriously now. Middlesbrough, they look very good.
Yeah.
So it's tough this year. It's tough. It's not. There's only three spaces. In the end, there's a lot of good teams in there. So watch this space. We'll see. Tough run coming up, but I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. Speaking of Middlesbrough, one man left Middlesbrough a few weeks ago to commit career suicide, and his name was Rob Edwards. Shall we touch on Wolves? Because they almost and probably should have got a point um, against Arsenal. If you'd have told Rob Edwards before the game they were going to score 3 goals away at the Emirates and Arsenal wouldn't score one, he'd have been laughing. And yet they've come away with nothing yet again. Still only 2 points on the board. They're almost certainly going down. Um, I guess it's just about trying to restore a bit of pride at
Yeah.
this point.
I think they will. It would be quite funny to see, not funny, but like it'd be a story to see them break Derby's record. But I actually don't know if they will. I still don't think they're as bad as that Derby
It
team,
would it
man for
would
man.
be it would be quite funny because they are a local rival, and you know that they'd be loving it if it was us or you that were in that situation. But and it's why I wanted Southampton to get to 12 points last year. That Derby side is one of it is the worst side we have ever had in the Premier League, and no other team actually comes close. They were that Southampton team last year were terrible, but they were better than that Derby side. That Sheffield United team from the year before were terrible. They're better than that Derby side. That Derby side was the most guaranteed 3 points, other than when Newcastle went to Pride Park. It was the most guaranteed 3 points of the season. They
We
were
drew
abs.
we
Did you
we
draw
drew them at
against
home.
them?
To be fair, yeah, we did in this
But
kit behind me actually. I was 7-8.
but they were
Mm.
absolutely shit, and they
Yeah.
were just a collection of mid-table Championship and high-end League One players because there were so many issues behind the scenes. They're a team that had somehow come up
Well, they
that
kind
didn't.
of fluked getting
Yeah,
up,
they
didn't they?
fluked
It kind of just
promotion.
happened. Like,
Yeah, whereas this Wolves side, that Wolves side has got some good. They are the worst team in the league by a mile, but they've got some good players in there. They'd be in and around the playoffs if you chucked them in the Championship, and they've got that problem that you get when you're a team that just gets sucked to the bottom of. Yeah, you start the season with so many bad results and you just can't break the cycle, and every week you go a goal down and the heads drop is basically what's happening now. That's what happened when we played them. I don't know if we probably didn't touch on it. But they gave us a good game for however long it was, 60, 70 minutes. We scored. They basically just gave up. Um, but it is mad that they've only got two points because
yeah, it is.
they deserve something at the Emirates the other night.
Yeah, maybe that's kind of the sign. That's the sign of a really bad team, though. Even when they do
Yeah,
deserve it, they kind of can't get it over the get anything over the line. Also, a sign of a good Arsenal team as well. Genuinely, I know it's two own goals, but they still won, so
yeah.
that's all's fair in love and war. Um, yeah, I don't blame Rob Edwards for going there. It's not like he had a real emotional attachment to Middlesbrough. Wolves is his local team. He's
No, but
like,
we talked about this a few weeks ago. That was a job to take in the summer, not mid-season when. Okay, I don't begrudge a manager looking at it going, I think I could keep that team up. But I think if you take the emotional connection out of it, you look at it and go, that's not a job to take. That is a team that is nosediving.
I think the only concern, it feels like an appointment for next season, but my, and I think if Rob Edwards went into Wolves with a clean slate, like went in, haven't they've just been relegated, I think he could do a good job. My only fear for him is they have an absolute howler for the rest of the year, and so
Yeah,
he's
there's a good
going into
chance
next season with
yeah,
that like
if he
dead
makes
weight.
it to next season, he might not.
Yeah, even if he does, there's a real chance he's going into next season with all this lingering over him still, and when they really need a complete fresh start. Um, he's instead of him being this breath of fresh air that I think he could be.
Mm,
Um, so no, I think they'll nick something somewhere. I don't know if it'll be.
yeah,
Well, I don't know. To be fair, they've already played like Burnley at home and lost and all these like these. They've already played like the easier teams in inverted commas.
yeah.
Um,
The thing is, though, is
but yeah,
they will win a game this season.
that's what.
There's no,
Yeah,
they will win a game, and I was just glad, and it will probably happen when we go to Molyneux, whenever that is. But like, nobody wants to be the first one. I know that was
yeah,
the main thing when we played them. Our mate who's an Arsenal fan was like, "God, it's a no-win scenario. You either beat them and you go, well done, you beat the team with 2 points, or you lose to them and you're the
yeah,
first team that they beat all season."
yeah, for sure. No, I think they're just naturally at the end of a cycle. I think these teams naturally go on. These clubs naturally go on a cycle. I think it happens. Southampton had it where they got promoted and they came up and they came up in
They were
style and then
into
maybe get into
Europe.
Europe and
Yeah.
maybe get to a cup final or semi final and
You sell the best
buy some
players, you
big
don't replace
players and
them.
yeah, and it just
Yeah.
naturally not naturally because it is avoidable. Look at teams like Brighton and like Brentford
But
and
but Bright
Bournemouth.
but
Well, maybe
well
not Bournemouth,
Brentford
but like
Brentford are in trouble, but it will happen. It will,
mm.
Brighton sell their best players almost every summer, and it will eventually catch up with them. It's just it
I
is
think
a
I think
natural
it's
thing
a
to that.
it's probably a complacency thing as well. They get comfortable and teams come up from the championship and with all this adrenaline and good form and they just catch up with them.
Mm.
Um, which is yeah, I think
And,
it
and
might
maybe
do them all good.
Wolves
Like
have been lucky that in the fact the last 2 years the three promoted teams have been so cut adrift, as
yeah,
whereas even though I think Burnley are nailed on to go down as well, they've come up with a bit of fight and
yeah,
that the last six teams to come up haven't had.
yeah, and I think going back to the cycle, the point of it being a cycle, I think it is naturally like 8 to 10 years. I think it seems to be like if not shorter, where it just catches up with everyone. I think we had a condensed one in the noughties. We had like 4 years where we kind of did it all in 4 years. Kind of, we did nearly got into Europe and got relegated in 4 years.
You
Um,
did get into Europe.
not that we
Not
did it
then,
later.
but yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
did. It was because we won the cup. We got in later. Um, so yeah, I think if Blues don't go up, we will most definitely be playing Wolves next year. So that's the one upside if we don't go up. One upside. We'll probably get the Black Country Derby back as well because a quick word on
Ooh.
West Brom. I put in our group that Ryan Mason was a dead man walking. There were three. I think were they 3-0 down against Southampton by like half time. Did pull it back to 3-2 to be fair. I quite like Ryan Mason, but I fear he may not be the right man at this point in time. Having said that, they did get a good win against Sheffield United on Friday night. If you haven't seen the goal, Carlin Grant scored a
Oh, it's an absolute
lovely
banger,
second
isn't it?
goal. Yeah, in
Yeah.
off the bar, in off the crossbar, lovely finish. Um, so no, go check that goal out if you haven't seen it. Good win, not a very good side. They will not be. I would be shell shocked if they get into the playoffs this year. Got comfortably beat by QPR themselves last week, 3-1 as well. Conceded way too many goals. Don't think they're a very good football inside at all. So yeah, at least we might get the Black Country Derby back next year as well. So that'd be fun in some form or another. Be nice if we get the Second City Derby back in the Premier League and the Black Country Derby back in the Championship. Would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Although we don't need to
Um,
play the second City derby again. The
I think we
last one was
do.
just the last one was just such perfection that it
You know,
doesn't need to be played again.
what I was thinking. I was thinking it's probably the longest time in our lifetime we've gone without
Oh yeah,
a derby. It'll be
comfortably.
seven years in March, yeah,
Be
which is crazy.
mental when that's back.
It will
Crazy.
be. It will be. We're gonna do a Sunderland on you, but Newcastle
Yeah, but
yesterday.
Newcastle never win that derby, so I don't think you will.
No, they don't actually. I didn't
Yeah.
realise that how bad their record is actually, which is mental
Yeah.
because I would have thought that I don't know. Right, should we have a very quick look at the? I know we sort of I touched on Blue Sheffield United already,
Yeah.
and it's a tough game. I don't really see us going there and winning, but if we can nick a draw, amazing. But as I say, I think we need to mix things up a bit. Maybe play Kyogo.
Mix things
I'll
up a bit,
say
lose
1-1.
3-0 instead.
Probably, honestly, we'll concede in the first 20 minutes. But I'll say an optimistic 1-1, but I think we need to mix things up a bit. Or instead of Kyogo, maybe do just play Leonard, play a three in midfield, try and stabilise things a bit. You got Man United at home though on Sunday.
Yeah, and we did touch on this a bit earlier on as well. I don't think we'll lose just because we are very, very good at home. We don't lose many games at home since Emery's been the manager. Um, but it's got another banana skin written all over it just because it's a team that is always a banana skin for us. So I think we drew 0-0 in a really dull 0-0 last year. It's one of those. It's a great opportunity to beat Man United, really. Diallo and Burmo have just gone to the Africa Cup of Nations, and Burmo's been their best player this year by a mile.
I think
I'll say two.
are they playing tonight then, Per? Because we're just
They
recording
are.
this. They're
They are.
playing
They're playing
Bournemouth tonight.
Bournemouth tonight. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the 4:30 on Sunday, so be up for it. Um, Bruno Fernandes will score because he always scores against us. So I'll say 2-1
fair enough.
with a Bruno Fernandes goal for Man United.
Yeah, side note, I think Man United I think they're still crap. Like
Yeah,
in
they
my
are still
opinion.
crap.
It'll all
They're
end in
much better than
tears.
last year, but they took 4 points off us last year. So
Fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, I still think it'll end in tears for them all. I really do. Final thing, should have a quick word on FA Cup third round draw. Not the most inspiring for either of
for
us, I
either
don't
of
think.
us, no,
You got
no,
Spurs at
we needed it the
home?
other way. We needed it the other way round,
Oh,
where
100%.
if
Like,
we are you we're away to Spurs, and there's half a chance where if we get the 15% allocation, where I might get a ticket. So in which case, if I do get a ticket for that, it's a great draw. My opinion completely
exactly,
changes.
yeah, exactly. I think
But
that's why, yeah, I think you've been a bit harsh on that draw because I was like, if you get to
yeah, but
go, that's like awesome.
we
Like,
played them twice a year. We had them in the FA Cup fourth round last year,
yeah,
so
yeah, true.
I don't know. I feel like in the third round, like Western Supermare at home would have been just like I know
Mm.
it's like a bit of a gimme, but that's where the magic of the
Nah,
cup is,
yeah.
so to speak. I wouldn't have wanted them away because it's just you've got everything to lose and nothing to gain. But
Mm.
you got is it Cambridge at home? I mean, you
Cambridge
played them
away, yeah,
Cambridge away. You played them last
yeah.
year.
Yeah, we beat them
Yeah,
4-0 at home and then beat them on the last day, 2-1 away. They've weirdly announced it's going to be a quarter to six game as well. It's going to be on Discovery Plus. I don't know. I don't know why.
because
Um,
potential upset.
yeah, I guess,
Although
yeah.
we're on telly, I don't know why is our game on telly. You're gonna have two teams playing a week 11.
It's quite an uninspiring draw anyway, though, isn't it? Liverpool Barnsley will be good. That's a
Yeah.
cool draw, but otherwise, there's not much there really, is there?
Mm.
So hopefully, just hopefully get through and have a good fourth round draw.
The
Hopefully,
second City
that'd be
derby in the
nice.
fourth round.
That'd be nice. Yeah, or one of the big guns like Arsenal or something. Liverpool would be really cool. But we can all dream. Who knows? But I think that just about wraps us up this week. Anyway, Cal, it's
Yeah.
been lovely being back. And we'll try and not leave us along next time as well.
Yeah.
I think. Sweet.
Yeah, well, there's a good chance the next time we have one of these, me and you'll actually be in the same room, so that might
Yes,
be
true.
exciting.
Yes, you're about soon, so that'd be nice. Get to do an in person. Well, it's always better when we do it in person as well. A bit more. Um, Sweet. Okay. Well, thank you so much anyway for listening and watching as always. And until next time, keep right on and shit on the Villa.
Thank you everyone for listening and watching this week, and we'll see you in the next one of the Villa.